do that thing. They need to hire a voice actor like ASAP. David, we should contact Zoom. Okay, hi everybody. My name is Siobhán. So happy to see you all. I'm letting folks come in. Great to be here this summer day. Is it officially summer? The solstice hasn't happened yet, right?
Not yet.
We're getting there. We are
About
getting.
3 weeks.
Okay, all right. Well, it's summer in the city, as we like to say, and I'm so happy to see you all. David gave us today's musical selection, and I was pretty hype about it when I got the text. So, y'all, what's up? My name is Siobhán. I am your host for this hour, and I'm also, my usual caffeinated self. And here at Ask Me Anything, it's our 55th session at Edge Studio. We've been doing this for a while, hanging out on Thursday afternoons and talking about voiceover. New digs or new angle? Great question, Michael. I am actually in New York City currently, so I'm in a totally different. Yep. Look, I love that the people pay attention. Thanks for noticing me. I appreciate that. But the person that is going to actually answer our questions, well, I'll do a little bit as well myself. But I'm very happy to be here again with our Chief Edge Officer, Mr. David Goldberg. How are you doing?
Doing great. I really love that song. I haven't heard it in so long. How many of you like Sammy Hagar?
Michael,
Like two hands. 3. Yeah, when Siobhán texted earlier and said, episode 55, or no, I think it was the promo I saw, whichever it was, I thought, oh, cool song. I can't drive 55. Anyway, I'm doing well. Hello, everyone. Happy June. Happy almost summer. Yeah, episode 55. This is cool.
David, I didn't even link that it was a Can't Drive 55 because it's episode 55. You're so good. I thought you just liked the song. I was like, this intro is great. Sounds good to me. But then it's like there was a theme. Wow. Rockin' tunes, Tony misses my pink chair. Thank you. I miss that chair too. That chair confuses is my chair has been like an icebreaker in multiple Zoom meetings, I gotta say. Like everybody weighs in on the chair, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're like, what's going on? I have a giant computer chair. It's a gamer girl chair. For my gamer people know, my gamer VO people. We love to see it. Okay, everyone. So welcome. So how we do here is that you are gonna ask questions in the chat about all things voiceover. David and I are hanging out today to talk to you about whatever is on your mind, what ails you, what excites you, things that you are curious about. If you aren't on Zoom much, on your top right corner of your viewer options, on desktop you will see speaker or gallery, and in the gallery you get to see everyone's beautiful faces. If speaker, you get to see mine and David's beautiful face. So, either way you win, which is wonderful. The chat is where we keep all of our conversations going, so you can tell us just anything and I will facilitate the questions over to David, specifically to voiceover. If you're interested in saving the chat, you would do that by clicking on the little ellipses down at the bottom right of your chat options. Your chat might be a pop-up that comes up in the square or to the right, and then save chat is your first option aside from DMing or things like that. So I think with that, we are good to go here. We just wrapped our spring sale at Edge Studio, and so hopefully some folks got in on that. So here we are. Hello, hi Terry, great to see you. Terry in an updated booth, I feel like over there. Yeah, we are gonna get into that later. But Sammy's Ferrari in the music video. So here we go. We got Michael. When you have an agent, David, does all your work have to flow through them? Or is there freedom to freelance without them? Great question.
Yeah, good question. Well, it depends on the contract that you sign with them. A lot of agents request that all the work you get on your own will flow through them. I think this, Siobhán, I think this question came up 2 weeks ago in the Ask Me Anything. So yeah, you have to read the contract really carefully. But I would not, and I want everyone to hear this, it's important. I would not shy away from a contract with an agent just because they say any work you get on your own has to come through us and then we get our commission. Because you still may be better off having your personal work go through your agent, because agents negotiate super well. They have lots of experience with that. And very often they will get you more money, even after you pay your commission, than you would have gotten on your own. So it's there's nothing, I've never heard of anything wrong with an agent taking a cut of your own clients. They become your agent. They're looking out for you, and they get a cut of everything.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I love the classic. Like I feel like we should be called like "Ask Me Anything," parentheses, it depends. Like as the like that's because that's ask me anything. 50% of the time we might say it depends. But yes, David, that's absolutely I agree. And your agent, you will sign whatever your contract is. I do know some people that's like, oh, these things have to go through. Like if someone wants to hire them, they have to go through the agent, right? But to Terry's point in the chat, you find that you still get most of your work on your own. And I think the benefits of seeking your own work is that you can audition and submit for things that you know are your wheelhouse. Ideally, your agent is doing that too, but you know yourself best. So these are the conversations that we are having. Okay, so Tony's asking a question about Voice Bunny, which is an online casting site. David, do you want to talk a little bit about, saying like, what's your opinion of Voice Bunny? I'm gonna say we probably won't give specific like criticism of other, people in our community because we just want to spread love. But David, do you want to just talk a little bit about online casting sites and your opinion of them in general, or your feel? I don't know what they are.
Yeah. So yeah, online casting sites I think they're great for many reasons. I think they are a terrific source of work for voice actors. They have been around for many, many years. Voice Bunny is one of the newer ones that are, that are out there. I know Alex, who began Voice Bunny. In fact, I spoke with him just about 2 or 3 days ago. He and his wife Tanya, and it's certainly a service. There are benefits like to anything in this industry and different ways of working. And some people out there, some voice actors really love the online casting sites and some find fault with them. And I can see both perspectives. I will say that different online casting sites offer different price points. And that's a big thing to consider in this industry. You have to consider the price points. Some online casting sites they charge the customer, or I should say the voice actor charges the customer such a small amount of money that it's very easy to think that, we're sort of downgrading the importance of voice actors and how much we should get for a project. So, like if you take a job that pays you $1, then the client thinks, well, that's all it's worth. And going forward, I'll only pay a voice actor $1 for jobs, whereas I think you should get a lot more than $1. Now, obviously, I'm exaggerating at the price $1, but some of the online casting sites don't charge all that much, and others do charge a lot. So you have to figure out what works for you and what's right for the industry and the entire voiceover community. But yeah, pros and cons to everything out there. Some people do great on online casting sites because they audition well and they can self-direct well. Some people don't do well on them because they don't audition well and they don't self-direct well. So that's something else to consider.
When I talk to voice actors about this sort of thing, I often recommend that if you're new, to choose one online casting site to work with and really spend some time learning it, learning how it operates, and how you might succeed. I think sometimes voice actors get really, what's when you just like jump in and you're like, you sign up for like three of them, so you drop a bunch of dough, and then you can, like not work on one or get overwhelmed and not work on any, right? And so I think better to sort of get into one and decide how that flow feels, and then maybe if you're like, that's a good flow, I want to add another, or you know what, Voice Bunny isn't working for me, I want to try Bodalgo or whatever, right? Like I think I would recommend if you're getting into it to really give it a go though. At least 3 months is my advice. At least 3 months of honest labor on those sites. So in other words, if you're just getting the swing of things, learning how it operates, that doesn't count as part of the 3 months of auditions. Okay, so maybe 4 months of like the first month is understanding how it works. And I want to talk about that too because your time is really valuable, and there's a lot of aspects to getting to be a functioning working voice actor, and I want you to give yourself the chance to succeed before you're like, oh, you know what, this isn't working. It's not good.
Yeah,
So,
and a couple of other thoughts. So one thing, is that I've seen a lot of voice actors over the years put down all the online casting sites. Like, they really ridicule them and say that it's just a waste of time, waste of money, waste of energy, waste of my budget, my resources, because I audition over and over and I never win anything. And but I'll tell you that I have heard so many auditions that voice actors have sent to these online casting sites, and the vast majority of the people who say I don't win anything, it's a waste of money, their auditions suck. They really do. They stink. And like, I'll listen to someone's audition and say, well, of course you're not winning anything because you didn't do this, you didn't follow the direction. Your read, I mean, I'm not going to be that mean to someone, but like, your read is not at all what the client's looking for or listening for. And so it's very easy for people to find fault with the online casting site when very often the fault is within themselves, at least from my own, my own thought on that, on their work. And so you will find lots of people out there in the voiceover community who blog, um, uh, just talking about how bad these sites are. But I would definitely take Siobhán's advice and try them for yourself. If you, I said this earlier, if you audition well, if you know how to analyze a script, if you can self-direct yourself, you can do extremely well on the online casting sites. And I know a lot of voice actors who have. The other thing to know is there, for whatever reason, there are voice actors who do super well on one online casting site and horribly on another. And for every single voice actor over the years who said that they do great on, for example, voices.com and horribly on voice 123, I can tell you another voice actor who has the complete opposite experience. So again, to Siobhán's point, try them out. And Siobhán, I love what you said about not jumping in and joining like multiple online casting sites at once, because you will be overwhelmed. You will get so many auditions from each site that you won't know what to do. So yeah, start slow and build up.
And I agree with what you said, David, that another great pro tip I would say is, as part of your process of, like, say you're doing one like hard for 3 months and having your set amount of auditions that you are going to submit per week, and include that your money will be better spent including a coaching session in the span of that 3 months. And instead of, signing up for two online casting sites, budget for one online casting site and a coaching session or two or three in that time, because then you can look at what you're doing and bring those reads to a coach. And to David's point, because really really salient advice, everyone here, basically what David said is don't suck at those auditions. And so which is very good advice. So but the best, how are you going to know if those auditions suck? You talk to a professional and take those reads that you used, those recordings from those auditions, and work with a coach. And
Yeah.
you might be like, well, I already have my demo and I already did coaching and training. Well, always, like, we are always students, and it's those offerings are there for you to work with coaches, and certainly Edge Studio. I've worked with James Andrews on audition technique. We have amazing coaches who can work with you specifically on those
Yeah,
auditions.
I'd have to say that where I find voice actors get the most benefit from private coaching with me and our other coaches are listening to auditions that they have submitted. And like Siobhán said, send us the recording. Also send us the director's notes, the client's notes. And it's amazing what you learn, because from an outsider's perspective, we can look at the client's direction when they say we want your read to sound like this or that, and then listen to your audition and say, well, yeah, you missed the point, here, and you didn't think about that, you forgot about this thing, and you did this, probably not in the best way. And it's like super eye-opening.
Um, Bruce was asking, and this is a good question. I'm not sure if we know the answer. David, do online casting sites integrate with agent representation?
Not that I am aware of. I can't say it never happens, but I wouldn't. I'm not aware of it, and I wouldn't think it happens. Um, the most agents dislike the online casting sites. At least they publicly say that. Even though I know a number of agents who, sort of under a pseudonym, will join. They are on the online casting sites. They've told me confidentiality, so I can't say their names. But I don't know. I don't think that they would necessarily intermingle with one another.
Yeah, I don't know about that either. And if people have experience with that, let us know.
Yeah, please do.
And Terry says, David, thank you for your advice about needing to get more auditions. I joined VDC and auditioned more in the last 2 weeks than I have in the previous 2 months. We love to see that.
That's great. Yeah, nice job, Terry.
Nadira, I have been out of VO work for years and I'm just getting back into it. Welcome back. Should I put older promo and narration spots on my website or is it better to leave it off? I have a newer commercial demo, but my promo and narration work is from years ago and I don't want a potential client to think I can't get more current work.
Yeah, that's a great question. There's absolutely benefit sometimes to having something that sounds like it was recorded years ago on your site because it can suggest to a client that you've been around for a while, you've been working at this for many years, and that's great. But more importantly, you need to make sure you have some stuff that sounds current. Number one, just to show what your current voice sounds like, but also to let the client think that you're still actively involved and not potentially rusty. So I would be very careful about putting on some older spots or even demos and labeling them as such, saying, here's my classic 1999 voiceover demo, for fun or something like that. And that's when the client's likely to say, wow, you've been doing this for, 22, 23 years. That's great. As long as the new demo is called current demo or the 2022 demo or something like that.
Um, you know, I agree. I would say, like, definitely, I always encourage people to be looking at your website and looking at your things. And I'll just say this too. If some of your older work is like, potentially not very woke right now or something like that, maybe let that go. And you all, I think, have the ability to discern that sort of thing. But this is a good question in terms of like, David, how often should you refresh your demos?
Whenever it needs it. There are a couple of thoughts, and one little anecdote first. I worked with the man who was like 30 years ago, the boy who recorded the Cheerios commercials, and his face was on one of the Cheerios boxes. And I had this whole discussion with him, and I said, "That is so cool! Like you should put that on your website." Like he was concerned about putting something that old from 30 years ago on his website. But I said, "How memorable that is! That's super cool! Like you were the Cheerios kid, And so he ended up putting it on his website, and I think that's terrific. And to I guess reiterating what I said a moment ago, it's clear that that was him 30 years ago. And there are some other voice actors in our industry who have super professional and who have pictures of themselves as kids on their website when like as a kid they were in front of an old like Tascam recorder or something like that, a reel-to-reel tape machine, and it's cool. It shows the client that you've been involved and interested in this all of these years. With regards to how often to update your demo, I'm going to say it depends. It depends on how current your demo sounds. I'm working with a guy right now whose demo is we recorded 9 years ago, and it has kept him going for 9 years, full-time VO work, which is amazing. The demo doesn't sound that out of date, but he just got in touch with me because he said, I think it's now time to update it. And I said, man, you got your money's worth. Here's the thing that with demos, when you record a demo, a lot of voice actors say, I want to make sure the demo is generic enough so it lasts me for many years. But I always think that that is the wrong approach. I think that the best approach is to put together a demo that's going to get you work immediately. Just like a resume. When you apply for a job somewhere, you want to put together a resume that's going to get you that particular job. Now, you may apply for another job 6 months or a year down the road, and therefore you'll update your resume again. Well, you can do the same thing with your demo. So I think you need a game plan. And this is what I like to work with voice actors on. Figure out who you might market to, how you will market to them, figure out what kind of demo is going to get you that work right now, and focus on that. And if the demo happens to last 9 years, that's great. Another thought is updating a demo, even by adding just a couple of snippets in the middle of the demo, can be a great reason to contact past clients. So it's June now, right? So in 6 months, you put together a 2023 demo. Is it really the middle of the year already? Man. So in 6 months, you put together your 2023 demo, which means you start working on that in 4 months, which is weird to think about. And then as 2023 comes around, January 1st or January 2nd, you can reach out to all of your past clients and say, here's my 2023 demo. And it might be 80% or 70% the same as your 2022 demo, but just adding a couple of things, that's cool, right? Say, hey, I've added a couple of spots to my demo. Here's an updated version of it.
I love all of that, and I think as always, there's part you all are intelligent people, and you can intuit what sounds up to date or less up to date. And when in doubt, you talk to a professional and say like, how is this working? Does this function?
Yeah,
And
and there. Oh, sorry.
go ahead, David.
Oh, and other considerations. Sometimes your voice changes, right? And you realize at some point you just have to update a demo. There's a cartoon that we record at Edge Studio, and a young boy has been the voice actor for many years. And one summer he came back for the next episode, and his voice had changed. He went through puberty, right? And the client said, "Sorry, can't use you anymore." And that sucked for him, of course. He was saddened by that, but also it was time for him to update his demo. Like sometimes you really have to update your demo. If your voice changes, your styles change, you may also just want to pursue a different genre of voiceover, and therefore you need a different demo.
And I'll say this too. David mentioned like photos of. Oh, I love it when David talks about reel to reel. It brings me great. But he said, the kinds of photos and things you can put from your life and the work that you've done. And I agree. I think that that's awesome. And I just want to say again what I like to say. Those things are great, but I don't need on your voiceover website a photo of you in the apple orchard unless you are actually it's a farmer's market website. I really just think like keep it on brand. Like a headshot is totally reasonable. You on a beach swing, it might be a great photo of you, but ain't nobody care about that. So let's think about how you are branding yourself in the world. There was a question about okay, I think there's an agent question about how to okay. Standard sort of agent question: how to find and know if you have a legitimate agent. That's the question.
How to find and know if you have a legitimate agent.
Hmm.
Like how to figure out if the agent I guess the question is how to figure out if the agent you're about to approach is legit or not.
Maybe.
I would just do some research, look online, find out what other voice actors are represented by that agent, and talk with them. You may not want to talk with someone who is very similar to your voice because they may see you as competition. I like to think that the community all helps one another, but that's not always the case. It usually is in this industry, but someone might be a little fearful of or shy away from giving up their spot on someone's agent list. So talk with someone else who has a different type of voice at the agency and ask them about it. What's their experience? I think just do some research.
Doing research, and your research can be looking for voiceover agents in specific regions. And I mean, there's a lot of different types of searches you can do. I highly recommend making spreadsheets and putting people's websites down and getting those pitches ready as you search. I really
Yeah.
endorse that.
I will tell you that um, the vast majority of agents really are good intentioned and they are honest. They really are. I've come across very few scammers in this industry. There are some, without question. There are production clients who send you emails and they tell you they have a big job and really they're just trying to get some money from you or something else from you. I mean, it happens in any industry, but overwhelmingly, the voiceover community is helpful to one another and honest. And it's a shame that one bad apple can really spoil the bunch, but that is the case. There are very few bad apples out there.
Thank you, David. That's an important reminder as well to keep things positive in our community. And community is the other thing that I would say when you're like, how do I find these things? Talking to voice actors, being friends with voice actors, joining Facebook groups or Discords if they're out there. We've got a community forum. I'll put a link in the chat. Talking to people about their experience with agents and things like that is also a really great way to do your research. From Kyle, love this question. Haven't had it in a while. I love this too. And David, for David specifically, David, do you recommend a certain diet or things to drink through the day as a voice actor?
I guess so. I mean, it's different for everyone. Some people have excessive mouth noise issues, so they should avoid dairy products. Like a big glass of milk before a recording session might make their voice extra clammy. And you can always rely on declicker programs like Isotope and, and so on, but I'd rather fix the problem at the source. So avoiding milk and yogurt and things like that before you record could be helpful. Um, a lot of voice actors love a cup of coffee or something with caffeine right before they record because it does give them a boost, a mental boost, which is helpful. I have seen some people and even some books say that tannins can constrict your throat. I've read a little bit about this. So tannins in certain types of teas, red wine has tannins in it and so on. So maybe avoid those before recording, but I don't know. It's most of the stuff is pretty minor, I think, and is really dependent upon yourself. I mean, experiment. That's what I would suggest, is to experiment. Know
I
what works and know what doesn't work for you.
definitely. And some people keep green apples in their orbit to help them out before recording. And obviously the main thing to David's point, I mean, hydrating is very important, and you will know when you are dehydrated. And I'm someone who's bad at hydrating because I don't know if anybody does this, but like when I get really focused on work, I'm just like in it, and I'm like, ooh, I have the like drink the water, Siobhán. That's like a challenge for me. I also want to say in my last social media class, whatever month that was, I have no idea what time and space are. I think it was in March, maybe, or April, maybe April. One of the students asked, like, I'm a vegetarian. Like, should I put that on my website, like, or on my social or my Instagram? And I was like, only if you think that's going to help you book work, which I don't think it will, because like I'm a vegan and I would do a burger commercial if I needed to. And then one of the students was like, Siobhán, you scream vegan. I knew you were vegan. And I thought that was really funny because I didn't really know what it meant, but it was very funny. I was like, I'm not sure. I just, you can just tell. So yeah, dairy and things like that. You'll learn too, I think. Like take note. Like if you eat mac and cheese before you record and you're like, that was really challenging, then maybe then maybe that's a note to self. Save the mac and cheese and the party booze, maybe for the end of the workday.
I would also, I've never thought about this, but avoid things that make you burp, right? Or fart. I can say it out loud, right? Because you don't want that on your microphone.
That's right. That's right. I like to keep it light before I do stuff, and then go like eat stuff afterwards. I'm that way as a performer as well. I mean, we're all performing, I guess, voice acting. Um,
There's a new website. I don't recall the name offhand, but it's for vegans. It's a store, an online store for vegan eating, and the guy who started it, he and his wife, the wife's father is getting into voiceover, so he got to narrate the videos for it. So I consulted with him and helped him through those, and it's great. It's so cool. Siobhán, I'll send you the link I'll look through my records and get it. It's a cool site.
I'd love that. I'd love that. Yeah, David's a good healthy eater, so we enjoy talking about our fruits and vegetables. So Terry's asking, I like this for you, David. As a person who listens to hundreds of demos, are casting directors able to envision you in a different genre than your demo is in?
That's a great question. I'm sure some can, and I'm sure some can't, because some some people who listen to your demo are totally inexperienced. I mean, I've worked with clients at Edge Studio who are who completely oversee a project from its inception, including writing the script and coming up with a storyboard and directing the voice actor and and everything, every step of the way. And they're brand new. They're like an intern at a company, and someone just says, "Hey, we need a new telephony system recorded, or we need this thing recorded. Go do it, get it done." And I don't think that they have the experience to be able to listen to your voice and say, "You know what? I hear your commercial demo, but you might also be appropriate for documentaries." I just don't think that that would happen. And certainly there are voice actors who are very skilled, or sorry, casting teams who are very skilled, and I'm sure that they can sort of think beyond your demo and envision you in different genres. And the same thing goes with editing. So I've sat with casting teams when they are auditioning voice actors, and what I'm about to say is usually only done on larger scale jobs, like a national commercial. But I'll listen to like a client listen to someone's demo and say, "Wow, they're really good, but they're too fast." And I'll say, well, I don't really think they're necessarily too fast. I think they just haven't left enough space between phrases or between sentences. And so I'll say, let's just put some space in there. And
Mm.
once I add space in the breaks, they say, oh yeah, you're right. They're actually great. So there are casting teams who don't understand engineering. Not that they should have to understand engineering. They don't know what we're able to do with digital editing. And so if they don't hear exactly what it is that they're listening for, they pass on the voice actor. Whereas other casting teams will say, oh yeah, that voice is great. And it seems like their sentences are just too close together, but we can add some space and they'd be fine. So, which is a lesson, because when you are recording any audition, you should make sure that your audition will work for someone who doesn't have the technical ability, right? Figure out, if someone listens to my demo, or sorry, my audition, and they don't understand engineering, will they still think that my voice might match the visuals? Will I sync to the visuals? And whatever the different processes are, you need to think about those things and make sure that your demo will work for everyone. Sorry, your audition, rather, I meant to say, will work for everyone.
I mean, it's a great question because obviously we put varied spots as much as we can on our demos, but we can't put all the kinds of spots that we can do, and of course, casting directors understand that. And so I think this is a good opportunity to just hear from David. David, when you listen to a demo to hire for a project, obviously you're not looking for them to have a spot that might sound exactly like what this project would be. What are you listening for when you listen to a demo?
Here are your two words, Siobhán. It depends. I mean, it so depends on what the project is. Is it the articulation? Is it the timing? Is it the clarity? Is it the recording quality? Combination of any or all of them? It depends on if I'm directing the voice actor, or someone else who I don't know their directing skills will be directing. If the voice actor is recording from their home studio or in our studio, there's lots of considerations. So there might be a voice actor who auditions and their voice is terrific, but the quality is horrible. But because we're recording at our studio, I say to myself, well, it doesn't make a difference, because all I care about is their voice performance. I know that the sound will be good when they record at our place. And then sometimes that's not the case. So yeah, it depends.
It it depends.
Yeah.
We love to see it. Kyle is asking, are there any other voiceover conferences besides VO Atlanta? Which I think VO Atlanta's done now, actually. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yes and no.
Oh,
Yeah, there are lots of conferences out there. There's Mavo coming up in November of this year, which sounds like a long way off, but it's really not, right? I guess 5 months from now. That is in, I forget where that is, Virginia or Washington, D.C., somewhere in that area. There's a great VoiceOver North happening I think it's in September this year up in Canada. That's a big conference. There are lots of them out there.
yeah. Do your research, talk to people. Yeah, Mavo is the Mid Atlantic, right, David?
Mid-Atlantic voiceover, yeah.
Yeah.
I usually like to say those words out, but I honestly just blanked it when I said Mavo, because all the marketing is Mavo. So that's all I could picture in my head. But yeah, Mid-Atlantic voiceover, thanks.
Okay, no, I learned from David. David's like, you do these acronyms and you need to tell them what you're talking about, Siobhán. And I'm like, that's right. DAW means digital audio workstation. So, yeah, so do your research, talk to people. Conferences are fun and highly recommended. John says, what is a good place to get public domain content for background sounds when producing a demo?
Do a Google search. There are tons and tons of free sound effects and free music online somewhere. But I warn you, be super careful, because a lot of sites, in fact, the vast majority of sites that say this is free music to use, free sound effects, you can use them at will as long as you want and just about any way you want, there is almost always a disclaimer that says it cannot be used for a demo that is intended to get you work. That's not the exact language, but to that effect, which means legally you're not supposed to use it for a demo. And a lot of companies now that produce music and sound effects are putting uh, some type of some type of code that is inserted into the audio so they can find it through a special search engine. which is interesting. And I learned this a number of years ago. I worked with a company. So they can go and do a search for a sound effect or for a cut of music, and it will pull up your demo. And so be super careful when you're using music or sound effects, like read the fine print, or at least if you don't feel like reading the fine print, which could be many pages long, then contact the company and ask them, and do it by email, not by phone, but get something in writing. However, I would warn you, producing your own demo, that's not super simple. If you want to be competitive, uh, I've met very few people who can really produce their own demo and have it be super competitive.
I want to highlight what David said. We definitely recommend getting your demo professionally produced by not you for a number of reasons. The main reason I think is because it's a lot of labor that you shouldn't have to deal with. That's my number one thing. As a voice actor, that's just giving yourself a lot more tasks. The other thing I'll say though that Dina did highlight in the chat, she has a recommendation for where she gets her sounds. And it's not free, but it's inexpensive, and then you never worry. And that was going to be my vote. Is like trying to do all that stuff for no dollars is probably going to give you more stress than it is worth.
Yes. And it's not expensive to buy music. I mean, if you know, I guess the word expensive is subjective, but if you're putting together a demo and you need 5 tracks of music and 10 sound effects, even if every track of music is $50 or something, whatever it might be, multiplied by 5, it's not that much. And you need 10 sound effects at $5 or $10 a shot. It's another $100 or so. It's not terribly expensive, but as Siobhán said, yeah, doing it on your own, probably not wise. And I don't even care about the time it might take you. I actually think, and Siobhán, with respect, I sort of disagree. I think it could be educational for you to go through the process of learning how to record and mix in music. It will teach you a lot. So I don't necessarily think it would be a waste of time, but I don't think that it would benefit you. At minimum, I would strongly encourage you, if you want to produce your own demo, then bring it to me, book a session with me, and let me review it and point out, if it works or not. And like, it'd be cool if I said, yeah, it's fabulous. More than likely, I'll point out some things that say, well, you may not want to send this demo out because, and I'll give you a list of things. And then you can try and go back and fix them, perhaps.
Super valid, and I mean, it's a very good point that you'll learn a lot by doing something like that. Absolutely. I'm just like, we have to do so much on our own as actors that I just feel like, when you can outsource, it's good to. A not question, but a thought from Nikita. And she says, I have done a few jobs here in Dubai and I never know where to find the finished product. It's frustrating. Speaking of finished jobs, I did an IVR for a client and I have been calling them nonstop to see if it's being played, but it's not. I got paid though. Was I that bad? First question, David, can you tell us what IVR is?
Yeah, there are 2 different definitions of IVR: interactive voice response and another I word. I'm forgetting it. Oh, too bad. But it's IVR is a system in which you and an audio system communicate back and forth by voice. So that's confusing. IVR is a type of telephony. I'm starting again. It's a type of telephony recording. Telephony is any recording done typically for telephone systems. They're called telephony. And there are 5 or 6 main types of telephony. And again, IVR is one of them. Interactive voice response. Yeah, I'll think of the other I word. And that is the system where you speak with the phone system. So the phone system might say, please speak the last 4 digits of your social security number, and you'll speak it. And you communicate, you talk back and forth. It is an interactive conversation with you and some automated system. What's really fun about these scripts is they're truly written to sound natural. So sometimes the scripts that I have seen that I'm directing a voice actor on have intentionally, they have stutters in them. So the voice actor is told to say things like, I'm sorry, I'm still not understanding. That's what the client wants. It should sound very natural. So yeah, IVR is a type of telephony. In case you're interested, other types of telephony would be menu prompt systems. Those are systems that prompt you through a menu of choices, right? You've heard these things. By the way, sometimes they're called phone trees or bell trees. Press 1 for this option, press 2 for that option. Voicemail is another type of telephony. On hold systems is another type of telephony. Those are essentially the information or sales sometimes, like long play commercials that you hear while you're waiting for a representative to pick up. Things like, while you're on hold, we'll tell you about exciting products. Did you know we offer XYZ product? Ask your representative for details. We'll be right with you. And so that's called on hold. So those are some of the main types of IVR systems.
And if you ever miss me so much, you can call Edge Studio and hear my voice doing the telephony for Edge Studio.
Yeah.
Um, also, I wrote in the chat, David, that I said David Cant's acronym today, and Michael Fleming said DCAT. um, okay, we are hilarious up in here. So I want to go back to Nikita's comment because I feel like, David, you probably have some things to say about it. Because she said she did the IVR and she's been calling them nonstop to see if it's being played.
Oh, right.
Not. But she did get paid, but like, was she that bad? Why isn't it being used when she calls nonstop?
I think the bigger question for all of us, for every human being, is why do we always go to the negative? Like, right, the client said the client doesn't play it, and we think, oh, is it that bad? Rather than thinking, oh, maybe it's that good, and they just haven't put it up yet, right? So maybe they're trying to find music for it. Maybe there's another holdup. Maybe they're changing phone systems first. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's that bad. There are getting paid for a job that is not used is different in different countries. I just worked with a voice actor who did a job. He lives in the States, but he did a job for a Greek client in Greece, and they ended up going with a much different sounding voice. His read was great. The client loves him, but they went with a very different sounding voice, and they didn't pay him. And he asked me about that, and I said, well, we have to figure out what the culture is in that country, not in our, it's different than our country. And sure enough, that was pretty typical there. And so, yeah, they may pay if they don't use it. They may not pay if they don't use it. Either way, you got paid, which is great. Either way, I think you could put it on your portfolio because you did the job, you got paid for it. So that's good. And I would just contact your client, and if they don't respond back, that's the way it goes. But what I often do is if you really want something on your demo, then when you book the job with the client, talk with them about how to get a sample of it. Like, make that part of the upfront conversation. How can I get a copy of this? What can I do to ensure that when we're done, I can add this to my demo? And start with the compliment. Say, like, you guys gave me a terrific script. When you're asking for a price, the script looks great. The project looks really cool. I love this particular company. I'd love to promote it on my demo. Good for you, good for me. What can I do now to ensure that when the recording is done and mixed with music and it's being used, I can get a copy of it?
I love that, and I this is all really great advice, and I absolutely agree with when it's like, well, I call them and I don't hear it, so like, was I that bad? If you think about like the film world, right, and you got your DPs, your directors of photography, your cinematographers, and they work on a number of different projects. And if you're the cinematographer, you're usually not part of the editing process, And I've worked with DPs who work on like independent films and things like that, and they're like, half the things I do, they never see the light of day because post is like really, really hard, right? But they got paid, so they're like, I made a beautiful movie as far as I'm concerned, and that's it. It just may not, these people may not edit it, but I put my all, and I got paid for my services, and I'm a working cinematographer, So I agree, though. It's certainly part of the thing that's like, or when you do internal trainings and things like that don't really go on your website because it's not for public consumption. We do have things like that. But yeah, to David's point, know your worth and your value, and feel good about what you've done. And if better to get paid but never hear it. Then the other word, like phrasing, which would be that you've heard it, but the money's not there yet. So
yeah, that's a great point. And a little funny story. So very often at the recording session, when I'm directing a voice actor, at some point, the voice actor's in the booth, they record something, and then we stop the recording and the client talks about it, right? The client looks at me and says, well, I kind of like that first take. Do you think we should get a second take? And there comes a conversation. I might say, well, I think you should get an alternate take because of this, or maybe the voice actor can do this differently, whatever it might be. And there's a little conversation going on. And but the voice actor almost undoubtedly is standing there in the booth, and all they know is that they have recorded something. And now they're in this silent room, they can't hear us. and they just see us all talking. And for some reason, part of our human nature, they almost always start worrying. And so very often I'll get on and say, hey, we love that take. I'll say through our talkback system to the voice actor, I'll say, we love the take. It's great. We're just wondering if we need to get a second take. So give us a few minutes. So I'll let the voice actor, whenever possible, I let the voice actor know that we're just talking because we like the read, not saying, oh crap, like this guy sucks. Maybe we should like recast, like get rid of this person, and find another voice actor. We're not talking about that stuff, So even if it's as little as I might tell the voice actor, hey, great read, loved it, but these guys are hungry. Give us a couple of minutes to like get them some menus. We'll be right back. And yeah, it just helps the voice actor settle in, because once the voice actor becomes nervous, then it's a tough read. Their voice, their pitch goes higher. They start reading more quickly. It's not good. Always have that confidence. So yeah, your IVR system, I don't know. Maybe they didn't like it. Maybe they just went with a younger voice or an older voice or a different gender voice. Who knows? But you got paid for it, and that's great.
Thank you so much, David. And we get it, y'all. This is hard work. Literally, auditioning is like the definition of putting yourself out there. And think of how many humans in the world just could never. They just could never. It's vulnerable stuff. So it's hard. We do have a question, David, about who is the judge or the listener, adjudicator of the audition contests here at Edge Studio.
Yeah, it's really, I guess, ultimately 3 people. We have someone in our casting team listen to all of the entries every month, and they select the best handful, 5 to 10, and they send those to me, and then I listen to the 5 or 10, and I select first, second, third place. Then our copywriter. Oh, and when I listen to when I select those 3, I'll write up some notes. Like I think this person is great. I like this about their voice, but I don't like that, and I'll do that for first, second, and third place. Then our copywriter goes and turns my notes into the article, and they will listen, and they also they will listen to the recordings, and very often find some other stuff or different ways to slant the conversation, the article, to make it more interesting. And so they will input their ideas as well. So it's really input from our casting person, myself, and our copywriter.
Thank you so much, David.
But ultimately, I do choose the first, second, third place, which means you guys are welcome to pay me off if you want. I am kidding about that, of course.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, here's a couple of 20s for you. Like, put me first place.
Mm-hmm. That's there you go. That's a little tip in this session today. Bruce says that sadly he occasionally argues with IVR telephony systems, and I just want to say we've all been there, especially when it's the healthcare telephony systems. That can take, woo, that's a fun time. From Esther.
Wait. Sorry, Siobhán, let me cut in. Every time my wife is arguing with a telephony system at home, and I can't say the F word on this call, but when our kids aren't around and my wife says, just get me a operator, I say, Jessica, like, this has worked for our business. This is great. This is work in the voiceover community. Like, I want more of these systems on, like not fewer of them. So yeah, remember, this is work, right? They may be frustrating, but it's giving us all work. It's a tremendous source of work because there's so much of it out there.
Yeah, but it can be frustrating too, which is funny. And also, yeah, maybe before you make those kinds of calls, you got to just light a candle and breathe, or listen to an audio meditation app, which is another job for voice actors. So listen to that and then make your calls. Here we go. So Esther is saying, "Oh gosh, the time has just flown. Oh my goodness."
Wait, Siobhán, I want to tell everyone a story.
Okay, yeah, story.
Sorry to cut you off. It's about this our last topic. I was flying down for a client to Washington or traveling to Washington D.C., taking Amtrak to Washington D.C. on a regular basis, at least once a month, for about a year or so, for a big voiceover thing. This is many years ago, and the hotel that I kept staying at had the worst IVR system imaginable. Someone who, without doubt, worked at the hotel and the hotel conference center recorded the IVR on their own. It was, I think, even a menu prompt system. It was a menu prompt system, but it was just horrible. And the hotel was great. And so after my second stay there, I said something to the higher management there. I spoke with the manager and I said, look, I love the hotel. You guys are great. And, I've come down twice and I'm planning on coming down 10 more times over the next 10 months. Love the place, but your phone system And he stopped me then and said, I know, I know, I know. We hear it all the time. It's terrible. I know we have to update it. I said, this is why I'm down here. I happen to own a voiceover company. And we ended up bartering right there on the spot. We recorded the voiceovers for him and I got to stay for free. It was his suggestion. I brought it up to him, but it worked out really in everyone's favor. Now, in my case, because I'm not personally a voice actor, I had to pay a voice actor to do the recording. So it wasn't truly free for me, but it was still a lot less than this fancy schmancy hotel, which was pretty cool. And you guys can do the voiceover and the recording on your own, so you can make things happen. So if you hear an IVR system that's annoying, listen to it and learn from it. Like, what can you pick up? What is that voice actor doing that you can make better? And maybe send the client a before and after. I've done that before for clients too that we're going after, or speak with the manager of the company and say, not for nothing, but your phone system kind of stinks, say it nicely and see if you can, get a client from it.
I love it. Great. This is important. This is all about how you go get your own work. Um, okay, and now I'm like, okay, let's do Esther's question as maybe one of our last here today. She says she's thinking of giving up day job to do VO full time, but wondering if there is a professional voiceover body that offers health insurance.
That's a good question. I am 99.9% certain there are many of them. There are probably many freelance services out there where you can get insurance and through some group and get a group rate as a result. I've never dealt with them because we have insurance plans at Adjudicator through our HR partner, but I'm sure I have to assume they exist.
That's tough. Yeah, we in particular we cannot give that kind of legal advice, or are not, the professionals to give that sort of legal advice. But it's a huge stumbling block. Yeah, lots to think about.
Wait, but it also depends if you're union or non-union because the setups may be very different, right? If you're in the union, I think that there are some plans in place. I'm not 100% certain. Maybe someone can has information on that.
Exactly, and people are also talking about how, depending on what state you're in or what your business setup is, everybody's getting who your partner is. If you have a partner, there's a lot of different things to consider in all of this. And James Andrews is here, David, and he says it's serendipity right there. Great story of David creating a win-win out of nothing, which is just really good. And also, everyone is hilarious. People are like, checks in the mail to David. The fat little envelopes are en route to you now, David.
Cool.
Heard it here first, folks. Bribe David.
Bribing is a good thing. It works.
I'm going to drop in the chat again one more time. The our resource center is where you can find all of our free resources, including the audition contest. And I've also got our community forum as a fun place to hang out and chat about all things voiceover. Yeah, these are all great. You guys have been so wonderful today. I think I am pretty much close to, I think I've gotten all the questions from the chat. You guys are amazing. And I don't know. Thank you for that, Esther. I do want to let you guys know about our Investigate voiceover class if you are still new and trying to figure out what to do. Investigate voiceover is our way, as our class, our 3-hour introduction to all things voiceover, and it does include a coach giving you feedback on your auditions and making a recommendation for you for the kind of plan for you moving forward in our education program. And we do have in-person classes coming up in New York and LA. So it's if you're like missing human beings and you want to be in the booth with us, great opportunity awaits you there. And then we also have if I want to drop this because I think it's important as people ask questions. About home studio. Home studio consultations are done by Dan Friedman, and he is the one who will be. We've got him next. Our next Ask Me Anything session, which is in 2 weeks' time, which would be the 16th. So all things home studio, that's going to be a fun one to be at because we'll be with Dan. He's a hoot and a holler if you haven't met him. Speaking of karaoke, he's your karaoke guy. So highly recommend joining us for that. We also do have, I don't have links for it, but our home studio show and tell is coming up. Let me, but I don't have the date for it as I'm sitting here talking. That is the 22nd of June. That's Wednesday night. I do have, I don't know if he's still here. I think he pieced out, but Terry Briscoe is going to be one of our guests. And I need another one. I need a person with a beginner setup. Because as much as we love people who've like, are advanced, the beginners are actually the popular ones. So if you're like, my setup is like ugly or whatever, Michael Fleming did it and he was he was great at it. And it was really fun to have. And that's kind of seems like what everybody wants to see. So if you're like, you know what, Siobhán, I'd hang out and show people my beginner setup. We would love to show you off and make you feel good about yourself and have you be an inspiration for people who have zero setup. So if you've got one setup and it's not great, you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. That's what people want to see because we're trying to work through strategy and how to support each other as we get it going. So no shame, we all start somewhere. Exactly. So hit me up, send me a little DM. I'm going to put a call out on social media for beginners because everybody who's applied has been like, it's like everyone thinks they're intermediate, right? They're like, I'm an intermediate studio. I'm like, okay, well, I've got like 50 of those. So I need beginners. John Bellimer, by the way, your logo is great. People check out the gallery. Setup series. Okay. Okay, Kimberly. Kimberly, I'm sending you my email right now, which everybody can know. It's my full ridiculous Irish name at edgestudio.com. If you wouldn't mind just reaching out to me, I would love that. Thanks, Kimberly. Okay, so David, any last remarks before I get us out of here today?
Yeah, regarding the home studio show and tell, I would absolutely strongly encourage you all to watch that. It's great. It's a terrific way to learn about your studio. You'll probably get ideas for your own studio, and it's a really wonderful way for the community to help the community. So I would tune into all of those if you can.
And if you think I'm fun during the day, wait till you see like evening Siobhán. That's super fun. And I do have questions about saving the chat. So the way you do that again is if you're on a Mac OS, saving chat, yes. So what you do is you click that ellipses. I call it ellipses, the three dots to your far right underneath of your chat box. And that should be whether it's on the side or a pop-up. And the first option is save chat. And it's kind of hard. You can kind of miss it because you see participant can chat with. But then, or actually that might be just what I'm seeing because I own the Zoom. Different world. But so save chat should be right. Evening Siobhán is live. Oh, you guys are fun. This will be available on YouTube this weekend, and you can, get in on that playlist. We got the playlists going. Like I said, I think I told you guys once that one of our folks was like, I just watched them all in a row, and I was like, man, I wouldn't ask my boyfriend to do that. That's a lot of me, but go for it, And David, thank you so much for everything today. It's really great to see you and talk to you. Thought we had a great convo going, y'all. So join us for our free programming. We really are proud to offer it. And so we'll see you again with Dan Friedman on the 16th. And then I'll see you on the 22nd for the home studio show and tell. And then David and I again on June 30th because we have 3 AMAs in the month of June. Wild. Okay. All right, y'all. You're the best.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for being here. Bye.